dirge. The best thing in life is to be remembered. I emerge arse over elbow from the mind's cave into the worst darkness outside. The heat chases my bottom and I decide to continue the cruise. I held myself up to the light. I ponder now my visibility as I choose reality rather than the plan. I walk out into tomorrow. I hear very little over my tinnitus. Violent and encroaching white noise. Are the sounds becoming more amplified, or is this an inevitable consequence of my interior decay? Now I heard the world and it was breaking down. Time insists on expiration. The quiet town makes small trash offerings as a proof of life, of lives lived with discarded electric toothbrushes, juice cartons, books and electrical goods, koi in the alcoves and built-in plinths of these rigid architectures. It's as if they are posed just for my benefit. By some happy circumstance, that which I need, I find. A wax jacket, a knitted wool pullover and matching socks, and a pair of leather boots, a size too big, but the socks, they fit quite snug. I discard my octagon garment at a bus shelter in a similar manner to which I find my new costume, splayed and ready to wear, perhaps a little smoke damaged. The black silk under the day's break appears like oily blood in a soggy gusset. I fix a pace and take pleasure in its rhythm, listening to the gentle groans of my jacket against itself. I keep time with my pulse. I follow a train's tracks and reach a pair of gigantic sculpted lions carved in limestone. Say something. The mute guardians bookend a short tubular bridge of wrought iron. They do little to intimidate me. I observe the island ahead. Alone on the bridge, I make the crossing. I adjust my stride span to tread each individual sleeper, and now I am marching. I keep my head bowed, not in prayer, but perhaps in contemplation of the earth I came from. Hello, gravity. Hello, shame. The most diligent of worshippers ought to be leaving for church by now, and me, traversing the empty landscape, I come across villages and hamlets. It could be said that I too am going for a kind of reckoning. The land is lush. Aggressive greens blot and absorb the horizon line. I come across a gated pen, a large rusty cage that holds 8 sheep. One appears as though it is worth saving, but what's the use? They all appear skinny and lame. Their cloven hoofs blistered, red raw. One feverishly secretes stringy saliva whilst the others foam white bubbles from between their gnarled teeth. Their bleating rattles my brain in its shell. It's incessant. They don't stop. There is no peace. I slow down as I climb a hill. Turning, I gain a perspective on the sum of my excursion thus far. The hill lights up suddenly. A field trembles with colour and goes out in its turn. In this one morning, I witnessed the extent of the spectrum and became rich from looking. This nature won't burn itself out. I observe an ash-grey, barely magnetized train circling below. It's as if that path were drawn by a child's free hand. This place is old. Peppered over the expansive fields are dark mounds. Each dark mound billows with smoke, undulating, truest black. White smoke is everywhere. The sun tells me it is not long after noon. I continue over the hill and spot a figure in the distance, a farmer, closer now, a boy. He stands, dishevelled on his father's trimmed land, close to a billowing mound. The smell hits me with a force that knocks me back momentarily. I blink hard. Oh, my eyes. I am in pursuit. Approaching him is the royal blue family tractor. The loader is full. I stand with the boy and see the contents of the loader. Felled livestock. I watch the loader tip the carcasses onto the decaying, smouldering nipples, the dark mounds. They were burning their spent animals. They were burning piles of their money, and it stank. The boy, he speaks in a language I so long had not heard. Spia, he says over and over. Spia, spia, spia. Gesturing, I took this word to mean look. What does sight amount to now, anyway? Through cracked lips, I communicate to him my thirst. We walk silently, side by side, past shattered barns and worn-out cars, quad bikes and raged trailers of varying dimensions to the home. The cold walls of the kitchen exude a moisture. There is a presence in absence. The boy heats the kettle and hands me a warm porcelain cup as he brews tea. An older boy enters. His brother, presumably, and unfazed by my presence, reaches for the rifle from the carved oak hearth and exits. We drink tea to the symphony of his brother's gunshots. I wake in the armchair. Sleeping was hardly intentional. My skin now goose-speckled, my body temperature that of this haunted room. The boy kneels next to me on the ground with his legs folded beneath him. He sleeps with his soft, white, freckled cheek on my hand. He rouses and sniffs my fingers. Smells like mortality, say I. We proceed outside and watch the last of the burning embers. I bore witness as hieroglyphs emerged on the still-lit bones and deciphered their message. Soil accepts, for serious purpose, the jettisoned blood of jokes and dreams, making buds from bone. Survivors play cards in kitchens while candles flicker. Many have perished, more will. I take the rifle from his brother's hand. Now watch this drive. These boys had hardly uncurled from their posture in the womb. But I'll miss the rube hand smeller and the ringmaster. But I have lingered too long on this threshold. But where can I go? I am alone on the surface of a turning planet. I march. I tasted everything there is to taste, and took in the sunsets, the smell of the trees. I walked in the rain and swam in the sea. I watched rolling hills and held them in my half-blind eyes. I observed flies as they colonized the terrain of my living quarters. I met lovers and felt the transience of love.